Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
So, as usual, we had a beautiful pre-episode talking about beautiful things in our personal lives right now. And I just feel so grateful that we get to exchange together and that we get to have an episode afterwards.
Hmm.
So, we have decided and chosen to speak today about what is the right place to live.
Hmm.
Hmm. What type of environment, country, culture is the right one for you? Because this is not a question that we usually ask ourselves, right? We get born in a certain place in our life and then we don't re-question it. We suppose that's the place we're out to live for the rest of our life. But what if there's other places that aligns better to you? What if there's better places that is actually bringing out your best self and your aligned self easier? Not saying you cannot feel fulfilled and happy wherever you are, but it just makes it easier to connect with the environment and a given
Hmm.
place. So we decided to discover that together and just explore that and discuss that further. Um, did you want to start, Miriam, or do you want me to start?
You can start. I think you did a beautiful introductory, so you can.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like so right now comfortable and blessed by
Mhm.
life that I speak so slowly right now. Oh my gosh, my hair. Okay, so very interesting topic. I think that it has to start with awareness. And if you feel that you have a deep gut feeling that you're not in your place, if you feel that perhaps you don't relate too much with the culture in place, with the values that bring forward, with the way people work in the work field, with um, whether or not you feel understood, happy, and really at your place in this place, whether or not do you have the same type of interest and desires and way of thinking than your community around you.
Hmm.
All those little things that if we don't ask ourselves those questions, you might not bring awareness to it.
Hmm.
Is it easy for you to connect with people? Do you relate easily with the people you meet in your community and the culture you're met? Do you feel inspired to create something there or to be part of something there with an initiative, a project, a retreat, I don't know, a community, a small group talking? Or do you ask yourself sometimes, I wouldn't do that like that, or I don't really relate with the overall culture or the way of thinking in the society per se? So if you have all those questions and if those answers are, I don't really feel my place sometimes, Macy, it's not that something is wrong with you. In the contrary, just perhaps you're being called to visit somewhere other place. And I'm not one to encourage you have to absolutely travel the world for you to feel a fulfilled life at all. I feel like traveling and exploring within yourself doesn't have to be in another continent, but it's just going out of your comfort zone. It's going out of your what you're knowing. It's going out of your house, going out of the village or the city that you know, so you get to explore other ways of living and thinking. So if you don't have the means to per se visit other countries, can you at least visit other parts of your own country that is different of what you're experiencing? So if you live in a big city and you go out there and visit smaller villages, farmers, way of living, and what does it awaken in you? What do you notice when you go to other places? So, for the good of the things, we're going to talk about countries here, but I want you to be very aware that we're not reinforcing the fact you have to visit other countries if you cannot, but we have personally, so we would love to share our personal experiences. But at the end of the day, the universe, and the planet is so big that there's different ways of living your life. There's different ways of connecting with other humans in a cultural way. There's other ways to hang on certain traditions. As simple as how do you organize your family gathering? How the family exchange within themselves? What is the language, the love language of a community in a given society? Right? Is it more individualistic? Is it more community driven? Is it more intimate? Or is it more private in each our own? Also, this little questioning allows you to say, what works for me? So when as you observe what your society live in is, observe yourself. Where do you feel the most loved, the most energized, the most understood, the most excited, the most connected with the people? And when you get those answers, look what are the behaviors, the beliefs, the values that those people have showed up so you can feel this way. I would start with that. I gave a lot of propositions of questioning, but
Yeah, I think you made a good entry for the topic. I think it's also I mean, I think it's a topic that has more awareness now, right? Like 50 years ago, we were not able to travel to South America, to Africa, to wherever, and to fulfill our dreams, right? Especially now with social media encouraging us somehow also finding our identity in different ways. So I'm not sure if there is truth to um, or behind us saying we are more fulfilled in a different place. So I'm not sure about it, even though I myself also like experienced it in Morocco, being in an entrepreneur scene, for example. That is not something that is so common in the place where I grew up. Um, Also, the open mindedness, the soul connection, the spirituality, the religion, living in a Muslim country. So there were many, many parts I felt super connected to. But I also have to say that I experienced a lot of people, individuals, showing different parts of themselves only by um, changing their surroundings.
mm,
So the person you are right now. So, for example, let's say you feel that you outgrown your friends, your partner, your parent, whoever, and you feel like, oh, this is not anymore where I belong to. Maybe I need to change that person. So you go to a different country or a different place and you experience a different side of you. That's energetically, that comes from within you. I don't really think that it comes from the surroundings. So that person that you think you're outgrown, I think the person will feel the same once the person moves to a different place and experience him or herself in a different way. So I think we all can be or may are maybe more open, are maybe more brave to show our true identity and feel more accepted in different places. But which doesn't mean that the person you separate yourself, the surroundings, the environment you're separating yourself, that they are not able to also be in a different way or act in a different way once they are out of their survival mode, their day to day, their work environment, whatever, right? So um, that is something I experienced, maybe even uh, with family. Let's say when when you are here in, for example, in Europe, being in the working culture, hustling mode, surviving mode, maybe once you are in holiday, you see everyone being soft, gentle, easy with themselves, showing a completely different side. So, yes, I think it's true that when you choose to move to a different country, for example, in Morocco, I see a lot of different sides of me being nourished and seen and heard that I didn't feel here, um, because of people also coming from different parts and exploring that part in them. But I could still feel that little parts that I didn't took care of back home, that they showed up after a while also in that place. So it didn't matter where I was. So the cause, the real deep cause of certain things that were not healed or I didn't found peace within myself, it didn't depend on the place that I was in. It didn't depend on the circumstances I was in. So if I choose to not value them, respect them, and take care of them, they will follow me no matter where I go. Um, so coming back to Europe, for example, after living in Africa, I felt that those little parts they needed to be um, healed or needed attention. Um, and then I found myself in a different place again, going back to my roots, and also found myself in a place where I could um, address certain things in a different way, act to certain situations in a different way. But therefore, I also needed my time in Africa, for example. So I think, same as you say, it doesn't have to be those extremities, right? That you go to a different continent. Can be only putting yourself into a different city, maybe the next city 10 kilometers away from yourself, just to be in a different surrounding so you can explore the different part that is inside you, the part that we maybe sometimes hide, or in relationships, whether it is in family, romantic relationships, we create a certain dynamic always. It's very difficult to change that dynamic over years, especially. So, only by removing yourself for a while, you give that relationship time to maybe find a new dynamic, a new rhythm, because you're coming back to it with a more aligned way, with a more um, aligned or connected way towards your spirituality. Who knows? Um, so same as you always say, everything is within us. So it's not necessarily the surroundings, but it is the surrounding that is doing something to us, so we can have the ability to go back to it with a different perspective. So yeah, I would stop here.
You're so sweet. Look at you saying we're not going to talk about emotion and reality. I knew it. Everything is connected. That's what I love. We just discuss authentically and we're sharing you rawly what we're really experiencing. So obviously, depending on what we experience in your life, it allows us to be connected or more sensitive about what we're discussing today. And I love that you said that. It is exactly it. Is that there's different spheres of how we get affected. There's your internal sphere, your internal world, and then there's the external world, right? Today, I was addressing more the external, but exactly it. You cannot run away from your problem. And this is something you have to remember. You cannot run away from your traumas, from your hurt, or from your problems. You moving else somewhere else, if you haven't worked your internal world, it will follow you, like you said. So this is an important mastery and part of us that we must do it because I've seen it again and again. We were in a new countries, a new place, a new setup, but their mental prison was still with them. They still had the same issues, the same problems, and they would actually project what they think of, let's say, the people, and they would see that in the people because they would attract it. Because like attract likes, it is like attract is like. So if your internal world is not at peace, and is still vibrating in certain hurt ways and you still perceive your world in a certain way, it will definitely not make you feel better in being in a new place, right? That being said, when you start to feel that you're more at peace within who you are and your authenticity and what actually works better for you, because you're right, we are social beings. We are affected by our environment one way or another. We are affected by certain interaction, and by the way the person is will bring out what we are, right? And that is the beautiful most challenge, is to stay authentic wherever we are and with whomever we are. But this authenticity can take different shapes. But what is the ground? What is the value you're showing up? How do you still express yourself? But it will definitely bring out other parts of us depending of what type of environment we are in, myself included, right? From where I grew in my hometown, I could tell what parts it brought out of me. I could tell how it's more individualistic. I could tell how it's more delicate. Like whatever you say, you offend people a bit more easily, right? There's less openness because people haven't visited and explored the world the way I did. So my
Mm,
perspective of the world will not always match with their perspective of the world, right? It's
mm,
just an observation, right? That's why we want to come to observe and be at peace when we're ready to find a place that fits us best, right?
mm,
So now when I talk about external world, I talk more about, like you said, the individual interacting with the community, the external culture, the way they treat every sphere of the law, the life, the laws, right? The access to resources that can be very important for you. Do you want to feel like everything is just accessible to you and you have access to credit easily and you can offer yourself whatever you want and be in a very developed way? Or for you, it's more important other things, maybe nature, maybe being more in raw nature, maybe being far away in a desert, being maybe in a more basic way of living. You don't know, it really depends. And I think it comes back to energy because I truly believe that we could live anywhere, honestly. That's the thing. That's also, it's a beautiful thing, but it also can be a problem because I realize that human is so adaptable sometimes to a point that they just stop hoping for themselves. They just accepted their fate. Yeah, but I might as well be living here. Or I might as well be like that because that's not going to change. And that's sad because it strips away our motivation to create change for ourselves and to find a better fit. So when I say a better fit, it doesn't mean that where you at right now is not a fit because our human is greatly elastic in a way and adaptable. So that means think of two pieces of puzzle, okay? And it still fits somehow, but just the little bit that goes inside is too small, but it still fits inside of the other one. So it still fits. But what if, as you explore yourself and you get to find another environment, let's say environment, a place, fits better and it just fits like two pieces of puzzle just perfectly. All the edges are touching, all the ways are, and they're receiving each other, and it's just harmonious. That's the term,
mm,
harmonious. Because you can fit in many places in your life. I can see myself living in many places in the world. I visited the world. I've been very blessed to do so. I can make it work. I can still develop myself. I can still make friends. I can still develop my business anywhere I am. I can still join other communities and make my life there. I can, definitely. But does it feel aligned and harmonious and exciting for me?
mm,
This is where I want to really put down forward is the energy. How does your energy feel? Do your energy feels like you're at 50% most of the time when you're at this place? Do you feel like it's at 75? Or do you feel like it's through the fucking roof? 99%, let's say not 100, 99% you're feeling energized, excited, inspired, smiley, or positive easily. That's what I mean by a better fit.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I love what you said, and I think there's so much truth to it. So I think it's so worth to explore to whenever you feel like you are this little puzzle and you somehow fit, but it's not the right fit, and that's something we feel deep down. It's so worth to explore. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to go to also, yeah, like let's say to quit your job if that is what it needs to be done, or quit your friend circle, your partnership, A lot of people somehow are with people or in circumstances because they somehow fit. But deep down, we know if that's really what makes us feel really, as you say, this smiley, and in love with ourselves.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a moment where we know being in love with ourselves, and it has to do with the energy that comes to us, which doesn't mean that you cannot find it where you are right now. But sometimes it's needed to go in order to find it there again. So that feeling of being in love with yourself, it's yeah, that is the source of a lot of things, because then you find your passion, you know how to attract the right people to you. You because you are in you're 100% yourself, and that is dependent also sometimes on the place you live in. So yeah, I would also encourage people to go after it more and more, and to to
Explore.
to explore, to be brave, and to know that there is no limitation in your age, in the circumstances you're in, financially, even financially. So many people say, but I don't have the money to do what you do. That's not true. Like, I remember even as a student, if you want, you find ways. It's very simple. If you don't want, you will find excuses. You can always start by a job that you can take in that city that you want. Of course, there's limitations that you have to include, but there's always a way. And you will be surprised what other characteristics, what other sides you find within you, things that you never saw before. Maybe you find a softness inside you, or you find a new like passion, like a hobby, something that you're good in. And that can lead to another opportunity. You never know. So
You've got to move. Hmm.
we have to move. And I also believe that it was in our nature. If we look back years in
We're a
history,
nomad.
we are nomads. We were not meant to stay in a place and to settle just like this forever. That's mm-mm. And you can feel it in certain cities when you travel. There is an energy around different places. In Marrakesh, for example, it's a city where people used to trade, right? People come from all over the world to trade. And that entrepreneurship, that energy, you can feel. There's people coming with nothing, starting business, because creativity just flows. Because you see other people thinking a certain way, people thinking and believing in opportunities and doing. Once you are surrounded by that, you think the same. Once you're surrounded by people thinking 9 to 5, I'm not saying that is a bad option or a bad choice to have, but 9 to 5 and living for your weekend, that is everything you can do. You will stay in that. So you have also the choice to make for yourself. Do you want that? And if you choose to, that this is your reality and you want to stay in it, stay. That's totally fine. But if you feel like you want to explore, then put yourself out there in different circumstances. Try new friend groups, new communities, new people that inspire you. You will never
Mm.
lose something. You just get inspired by um, a different I don't know the English word. We say facade is like a different version of yourself that you see. And
That's
there's
true.
many different versions of yourself that can be uh,
Figuring out
come
depending
out.
on where and what you do exactly. I like it because for those who cannot go in other countries or other cities, like you said, try new communities within the city, right? Like,
Mm.
let's say it's more artistic, dramatic. Do you go to a concert of a type of music you've never really done, or something you've been curious about? Try a new class of something to learn something, and you will meet other people who have those interests and see what is a better fit too, right? Exactly. I love that very much. And it requires, like you said, courage and willingness to get to discover those parts of us. Because whatever you're experiencing right now, if you feel like that's what you're living right now, is that what it is, Missy? If you feel unmotivated, if you feel that life is boring, if you feel like there's nothing more to it, then let me tell you, it's time that you move your butt. It's time that you create some movement into yourself because life can be so much different than what you're experiencing right now. That's the whole
Mm.
purpose of us talking about it today. So you can see that it awakens different parts of us. And like you said, for example, depending also of the season you're at, right? That's why the beauty of aging and the beauty of our life is that depending of certain periods of our life, we have different type of priorities, different types of level of energy, different types of things we're seeking. And to conclude for me, what I'm seeking right now is this easygoingness, this welcoming, this community vibe, this non-complication, non-dramatic way, this more community-driven than individualistic, and the simplicity of the life. That's what I'm searching as an environment and energetically speaking. And also that is really flexible in terms of the time. We're not stressed about that. We're not stressed about rigidity. I needed me to find myself in a place where I felt flexible to be, to do, and to not be stressed about. For me, quote unquote, that was little things. So it would be as simple as meeting up with someone, right? It's okay if you don't arrive at the right time, but that's me, and and that's what nourishes me to be in a place where I felt more flexible, welcoming, and easygoing because that's how I am. The more I discovered myself, the more I realized I was this person.
Mm.
The more I realized that this version of me is what flows in me. I'm a very flowy person. I must have a flowy lifestyle, a flowy way of living, a flowy way of dealing with my interaction with my loved ones. For me, flow and freedom is very important. So I want that to be reflected in my everyday life and in the environment I find myself in. So that
Mm.
has been my personal experience. So that I was
Mm.
just giving this example because we've been giving examples too, so people can maybe relate more where we're at. So that's my current seasons. Maybe later is gonna be different, but I when it's really part of your essence to be flexible and fun and then enjoying yourself and easygoing, then priorities will change. But the root of that, for me, I know I don't see myself wanting to be rigid in my life later on. It's, then it's another discussion for another time. So that's it for today for me. Did you have anything else to conclude, Miriam?
I think you wrapped it up very nicely. And yeah, I think just like as you said, I really think people should explore more. Like I really encourage people who are in doubt, should I do it or not? I don't think you ever regret once you moved. Never. The beginning can be a bit challenging because you see a new side of yourself. That's always challenging. But at the end of the day, whenever I moved, I think whenever you moved, and I also lived in three different countries for a long time. So I never regretted it, you know. It always felt very, very good. So
You
yeah.
learn so much. You learn so much, and it really practices you, your adaptation skills, your openness, right? Your heart openness, understanding other cultures. Yeah, I've lived in so many places too, both as well
Mhm.
as short period of time or longer, but it's always minimum 1 month, so you can still see a lot. And if you can do 2 weeks, you still do it, but immerse yourself. That's the thing. Sometimes people travel and stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Immerse yourself. Maybe solo traveling can be something. Solo traveling, you don't have a choice to immerse yourself. You know, sometimes when we travel with the people we know already, we stay in the same bubble of dynamic. So encouragement, immerse yourself.
Mm.
Wherever you are, whatever you do, it's immersion that matters right now. So you can learn more of what brings out of you. Yeah. Thank you so much. We see each other, guys, for next 2 weeks for the next episode, and we thank you so much again, and thank you so much, Miriam, for your presence.
Thank you. Bye.